Before time as we know it, before life, before our planet even had a solid form, there was only darkness and a colossal cloud of dust and gas. But inside that chaos, gravity, the universe's great sculptor, began its work. Specks of dust stuck together, rocks collided, and over millions of years, a ball of fire was born. This was not the Earth, you know. This was a proto-planet, a world in the most brutal phase of its creation. Welcome to the Hadean Eon, the Age of Hell. A 500 million year-long chapter where our planet fought for its own survival. And in those first days, Earth was not alone. It had a twin, another world sharing its orbit. Its name was Theia, and their destined meeting was about to forge the world we know today in the single most important act of violence in the history of our solar system. About 4.5 billion years ago, Theia, a planet the size of Mars, slammed into the young Earth at an inconceivable speed. This wasn't a glancing blow, it was a world-shattering impact. The crust of both planets vaporized, sending trillions of tons of molten rock and metal blasting into space, forming a brilliant, fiery ring around the Earth. For a moment, our planet was almost completely destroyed. But from that ring of debris, something miraculous happened. Gravity began its work once more. The fragments in the ring started to clump together. Over thousands of years, they merged into a single sphere, glowing hot and bright in Earth's night sky. The Moon was born, not as a gentle companion, but as the child of a planetary apocalypse. But this collision didn't just give us the Moon, it did something even more important. The heavy, iron core of Theia sank deep into the Earth and merged with our own, creating a massive, molten, rapidly spinning metallic heart. It was this supercharged core that gave our planet a priceless gift, a powerful magnetic field. The Earth now had a partner in the sky and an invisible shield to protect it, but its surface was still a true hell, and a new storm, a rain of fire from the cosmos itself, was about to begin. For the next several hundred million years, during a period called the Late Heavy Bombardment, Earth was a cosmic shooting gallery. The night sky wasn't black, but a terrifying fireworks display, with thousands of bright streaks falling every hour. Each impact made the planet's surface boil, keeping it a global ocean of molten lava. The atmosphere back then was a toxic soup, with no oxygen, made mostly of carbon dioxide, nitrogen, and steam pumped out by thousands of volcanoes. The air pressure was so immense it could crush you instantly, and the surface temperature was hot enough to melt lead. No life could possibly survive. But this fire rain from the heavens carried a fateful gift. Those comets and asteroids weren't just rock, they were giant, dirty snowballs packed with frozen water. Millions of years of constant bombardment meant that Earth was also getting a massive delivery of H2O. As the planet began to cool slightly, the unthinkable happened. The colossal amount of water vapor in the atmosphere began to condense, and then the first rain began to fall. But this was no ordinary storm. Imagine a global torrential downpour that lasted not for a few days, but for millions of years. A great deluge had begun, and it would create the oceans. But what would an ocean with hell planet actually look like? After millions of years of ceaseless rain, Earth finally had its oceans, but they went blue. Because of the extremely high concentration of dissolved iron from the volcanic rock, the first oceans were a murky, alien green. The sky above was a colorful reddish-orange due to the thick, oxygen-free atmosphere. It was a truly alien world. At the bottom of these iron-green seas, at hydrothermal vents where superheated, mineral-rich water erupted from the planet's core, a chemical miracle was taking place. In this primordial soup, Energized by heat and chemistry, simple organic molecules began to combine. And then, around 4 billion years ago, in the darkness and immense pressure of the sea floor, something extraordinary occurred. A molecule formed that could make copies of itself. The first life. Not an animal, not a plant, just a simple chemical structure. But it was the beginning of everything. Hook. Life was born in darkness, in a toxic ocean, but it was about to face its greatest challenge, itself. One of its own earliest children was about to poison the entire planet and cause the first great mass extinction with a deadly waste gas. That waste gas was called oxygen. Life was born, and it quickly learned to harness the infinite energy of the sun. Cyanobacteria exploded across the globe, the new rulers of the planet. But every factory has an exhaust. And the waste gas from these tiny living power plants was a substance utterly toxic to the world at that time. Oxygen. At first, the catastrophe was contained. For millions of years, every molecule of oxygen was instantly captured by the vast amounts of dissolved iron in the green seas. The entire global ocean began to rust from the inside out, dropping trillions of tons of iron oxide onto the sea floor. But eventually, the chemical buffer was full. The sponge was saturated. Oxygen began to pour out of the sea and flood the atmosphere for the very first time. For the anaerobic life that had ruled the planet, this was a chemical holocaust. But the destruction was not over. A far colder twist was yet to come. The early Earth's atmosphere was kept warm by a thick blanket of methane gas, but oxygen is methane's mortal enemy. As oxygen flooded the air, it reacted with and destroyed this greenhouse blanket. The planet's thermostat was switched off. Global temperatures plummeted, triggering one of the most severe ice ages in history, a period known as Snowball Earth. Life had poisoned itself and then frozen itself in ice. It seemed like the end, but this very catastrophe was a gift in disguise. The poisonous oxygen created the ozone layer, shielding the surface from lethal radiation. And it provided the high-efficiency fuel required for the evolution of complex, larger organisms like us. The poison had become the breath of life. The story of the Hadean Eon is not just a history of fire and rock, it is a reminder of the violent chaos required to create a habitable world. The Great Impact gave us our moon, which stabilizes our planet's axis and creates the tides. The cosmic fire rain delivered the water that fills our oceans. And the magnetic field, born from the core of a dead planet, still protects us from the solar wind to this day. Every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, has a history written in cosmic collisions and lava oceans. We are the children of a hellish past. Final hook, and the story of how that poisonous gas, oxygen, changed the world, that is another terrifying story, for another time. It shows that even the changes that bring life to us can be an apocalypse for others. The history of Earth is always written in destruction and rebirth.